Are you looking for some information on the WL Grand Cherokee? Maybe you're considering buying one, new or secondhand. Here is our vehicle review of the car. This particular vehicle that we're looking at is the Grand Cherokee L. It is not 4XE, which is a hybrid. So there is a hybrid available. In this video, we say that we're talking about the Pentastar 3.6, which applies to the L. I also need to correct a few terminology errors that are said through this video. Occasionally I call this a Cherokee. It is a Grand Cherokee, and I'm pretty sure we spot a JL Wrangler on the road and I call it a JL Cherokee. So anyway, that's just me living Jeep life. Here is our brief summary of the WL Grand Cherokee L series. We have a WL Cherokee in our care. Thank you to Matthew Hammond, who is a very gracious client of ours who has spent money with us on numerous occasions, servicing and buying accessories for his Jeep through us, and then has given us permission to use his vehicle for a vehicle review. So while I just try and get out of here without bowling over this kid on his push bike, 1 second. I've never actually driven one of these. This will be the first time I've driven it, so you're all going to get my waffle at first-hand experiencing this stuff for the first time. So the WL is good at giving way to BMWs. The WL is the latest generation of the Grand Cherokee available in the Australian market. There are some other options for this in the North American market that have more options around engine packages and whatnot than we have. So I suppose we could start there. So unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you cut it, these only come in Australia with the 3.6 Pentastar in it. There is a 5.7 V8 available in the North American markets, and I do believe there is a diesel available as well, although I could be incorrect on that one. So if you're looking at buying one of these in Australia, your only option is the 3.6 Pentastar V6 engine, which is the same platform that has been used for many years by Stellantis in the Dodgers, in the KL Cherokees, in the Grand Cherokees, in the Wranglers, and even in the Gladiators. So they're stuck with a tried and tested engine arrangement, the Pentastar 3.6. Unfortunately, early signs are showing that the common faults with these vehicles, things such as chewing up cam lobes and developing lifter tick, are still present in this new generation engine that's fitted to this. Likewise with oil coolers, we've already done a few oil coolers and these vehicles are only a couple of years old now. So the same faults that were in the 3.6 seem to have come across. The other thing that we are aware of is there's a couple of recalls already out for these, all of which are suspension related. There's something about a spring seat failure and a rear suspension spring can leave the vehicle. Something about a ball joint in the front. I'd have to get some recall notification numbers to just confirm what I've just said there. So yeah, basically the main criticism that people have of these vehicles is it didn't have engine options that appealed to the Australian market. The main criticism of this vehicle when doing our research and just being across what's going on in the Jeep world prior to getting a hold of one of these is a lot of the owners were not happy about the fact that there was not a diesel or a V8 option available in the Australian market. So obviously in our experience, we've done a huge amount of experience with the WK2, the predecessor to this. The main clientele for the WK2 is usually retired people who are looking for that lifestyle vehicle for towing, usually towing a very large caravan and traveling up and down the east coast of Australia. So when it came to upgrading to the WL, they were pretty disheartened to discover that the diesel with the torquey engine wasn't an option for this, which opened up arguments of they're not suitable for towing. So this will tow up to 3 ton. However, it is a petrol engine, so it doesn't have the torque that the diesels will have. And some of the reports from the research we've been doing with our other customers that have these is obviously towing in a petrol is very costly when it comes to fuel consumption. So it will do the towing. It will still go up to about 3 ton if you're going to do the East Coast with a small trailer or a small caravan, there's nothing wrong with this for that. If you're doing the really big 3.5 ton caravans, multi-axles, things like that, it's probably not going to be suitable for that. The other thing that was a big issue, which I can understand how this really just got a lot of people's noses out of joint, and a lot of faith lost in the Jeep brand. When these were first launched, and obviously depends on the package that you've purchased, these retailed for anywhere between $70,000 to $90,000, depending on the package that you purchased. And that was in late 2023. By 2025, so a year and a half max, they'd nearly halved in price. They obviously weren't selling. Jeep were doing everything they could to try and sell them. Realized obviously they'd priced themselves out of the market and quickly started slashing prices. This actually, I believe, damaged the trust in the brand. People who were looking at buying them weren't so keen to buy anymore because the value of their product that they're about to buy may depreciate by 50% in the next couple of weeks. Again, if you'd already bought one at the top price, you were proper salty as you found out your $90,000 vehicle is now retailing brand new for $70,000. You would not be happy about that. So that kind of put a sting in the sales numbers to start with. So that's kind of the two main criticisms that we've had or heard about these, but we're now driving it and seeing what we actually think. I'm actually super impressed with this thing. The interior interface, this feels like you're driving a luxury car. It doesn't feel like you're in a big SUV. It actually has a very similar feel to when we were driving the Ram. This particular vehicle is built on a Alfa Romeo platform, which is no surprise. Stellantis is the parent company for Jeep, is also the parent company for Ram, Fiat and Alfa, among other things. So it's not surprising that they're cross-pollinating vehicle design concepts and platforms. This thing drives really nice. They've gone with the dial shifter instead of the actual gear lever. This is something that we're familiar with seeing in the Land Rover world. It's super cool. I'll be curious to know if that gives trouble in the future. The Land Rover ones were particularly problematic. The other thing of note is this is the first model Jeep available with a 7-seater option. I don't know what else is in the competitor market that has 7 seats. I'm sure there are many out there, but going back about a decade, the only thing you could get with 7 seats was a Ford Territory. So I'd suspect a lot of other car manufacturers have probably caught up there, but this is the first time Jeep has brought a 7-seater in. So obviously targeting the soccer mum, family SUV. It's definitely going more for the luxury car, city cruiser than the hardcore off-road aggressive military type vehicle that Jeep is known for, or was known for. What do you reckon, Gordo? It's got stop start. I fucking hate stop start.
It's pretty nice.
It is nice. It's
pretty ritzy back here as well.
Yeah, that's a word, ritzy. All right, we could use that. So this is pretty, just from driving this around the back streets of Hornsby. Oh, it's starting to rain, Gordon. Your camera outside is going to be getting a bit wet. Does that matter? It's just spitting. So sitting in this is pretty ritzy. This is a beautiful car to drive. It's super nice. I'm very impressed with it. I would own this if we put it that way. The cool thing with these, from some of the videos we've watched, is obviously this is marketed to be a suburban family vehicle, 7 seats. You know, fit your kids in, load all your soccer gear or your cricket gear, and get on and do what you got to do. However, there are some videos of these being taken through their paces in some pretty serious off-road courses where they're keeping the WL up with the JL Cherokee, and the WL stays with them no problems at all. So whilst we haven't got any first-hand experience here of taking someone else's car off-road and abusing it, the videos that we have seen online do suggest that it's more than capable of doing some of that off-road, river crossing, rock climbing, trail driving type behaviours that Jeep owners want. As far as styling, I think this actually looks better than the WK. A lot of that comes down to personal opinion. I really like the front of them. They're a little bit bigger. They're looking far more aggressive. I like the headlight design. I haven't actually seen one with a tow bar fitted. I don't know how that would look. The back looks great on this one with no tow bar. We should interview him, hey? Ask him what he likes about it.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Like, man, you just feel like you're driving the Starship Enterprise. Big interface here on the dash, all the information you could possibly need. The important things are there, quick and easy to see. You don't need to. I hate driving new cars and you're looking down, looking for the speedo, or looking for how much fuel's left. You can see those things easily, but there's a whole lot of information here on the interface. Interior is nice. This is very bougie. It's very bougie. So mechanically, this looks like it's still running the 8-speed transmission, which is a ZF, if I'm correct. There's actually a BMW product. That's the same box that's been used in the WK2s across all engine platforms and is generally pretty good. We've had a few fail, but they're not known to be overly problematic. I'd buy this. Not for 90 grand, but I'd buy it when it was second hand. Wonder what they sound with a sports exhaust on it. If anyone's got a sports exhaust on one of these, send us a video. As we said earlier, the main clientele that were buying WK2 are the retirees who are looking for something with exceptional towing capacity, but is comfortable on the freeway. The WK2 hit that on the head perfectly. This hasn't. I suspect it actually does have options available in the North American market that is capable of doing that, but and I can't back my theory here with any real data, but I believe that there's two factors that stop us from getting these cars in the Australian market. One is, on average, when you look at the global car market, Australia is less than 1% of the global car market. So car manufacturers aren't going to be spending hundreds of billions of dollars to get a car into a market that's only 1% of the market share. The other issue is, whilst we're not as stringent as California and other areas in America, Australia's emission laws are some of the toughest in the world when it comes to motor vehicles. And I suspect, off the back of a couple of years ago, the Volkswagen scandal and similar ones like that, that it's just too hard for some manufacturers to get, particularly diesels, to comply with our strict emission laws. And so it's too hard to even bother getting a vehicle to comply and then into the country. Again, I can't back that up with any actual hard facts. It's just my theory on being involved in the auto industry for 20 years and what I've seen. Doesn't make me an expert. I suppose it does make me an expert, but not on that particular subject. Just a theory. Here's a JL in front of us. Look at this. Look at the yellow. Very nice. What else do we tell the people, Gordon? What do they want to know? And down we go. So, the twin turbo Hurricane engine, which is featured, we get in Australia in the Ram. In America, I believe you can get that engine option in the WL, but obviously, again, we can't get it here in Australia. That probably sinks my theory about the emission laws. How were they able to get the Ram in and then not the WL? Anyway, who knows? If someone knows, let us know. Why can't we have a Hurricane? So we have spoken to a couple of companies around the country who are currently doing some R&D around putting the 6.4 Hemi V8 in these and in the Gladiators and having them legally compliant, whether you buy that conversion done off Jeep or whether you have to go and buy a Jeep and then go and see these people and then get it done. I'm not sure how it works. It's still in the R&D stages, but in the near future there will be options if you really wanted to get one of these and then go and get a Hemi V8 put in it. However, you will need your checkbook for it because you're going to have to buy one of these at whatever they're worth at the time and then buy a Hemi V8 and then pay a bloke that knows how to do it. I'd imagine you're not going to get much change from 100 grand, if any change from 100 grand, by the time you've done all of that. But still, could be a cool, fun car. So yeah, watch this space. As soon as we know more about that, we will let you know. It'd be cool to be part of that if we can get our hands on it. But anyway, for now, you can have a 3.6 V6 petrol. It drives beautifully, man. Like, I can't fault this from a, like even if you had a trailer on the back of this or a caravan, I bet you wouldn't notice. I'd rather tow with this than my Hilux. Yeah, I think they shot themselves in the foot with the quick changing of the pricing structure. They should have done that better, done more market research at the start. And then, obviously, if they could have got a diesel here, but we don't know why they can't get diesels here, why they don't want to. Is it just not cost effective for them, or is there an emissions law problem? But man, if they had this in a diesel, it would have sold like hotcakes. But instead, everyone's getting into Hyundai thingamajigs, those things, whatever they are, Santa Fe or BYD Sharks. Yeah, GWM, like. Yeah, I just think the flip-flop of the pricing structure in such a short amount of time just did a lot of damage to consumer confidence in the brand. Again, I'm not an economist, I fix cars for a living, but that's my opinion on why it didn't sell, you know, apart from the obvious. What are your colour options? I've only seen these in white and black. I'm pretty sure. Oh, no, they do have that burgundy red. I've seen that. Park it up and do the B-roll. It's all right. It's no SRT, but it's all right. Get you out of a hot spot quick. I reckon it'd sound good with a sports exhaust on it. Not that anyone's going to buy one of these just to hot it up. All right. So what we like, what we don't like, things to think about. First one is the media interface is Apple CarPlay and it's pretty modern and advanced, and that's all great now, but how well will that date when this becomes a second-hand vehicle 10 years down the track? If you're looking at cars that were made in the, 2010, 2011, I could have my timing wrong, but we've still got cars coming in that have the Pandora app on the dash. That technology is long gone, that company's gone bust. So I'm not sure how well this will date. It's great now for a modern car. Things that I'm not a big fan of, it's got heated seats, heated steering wheel. Those are all great features. Unfortunately, you can't turn them on until the engine's running. So you can't be waiting in the car, waiting for your wife to get ready or whatever and prep the car. You've got to have the engine running for all of that to happen. It's just one of those little things that I would prefer to be able to do on accessories rather than have the motor up and running to do that. It does have the same Jeep feature that the WK's had, where if you're not in park, when you have a door open, it will automatically put itself back in park. This is a safety feature. It was introduced after there were some injuries with cars rolling away on Hollywood movie stars, and then they introduced if the door's open, the car drops itself into park. Up to you whether you like that or don't like that. They've retained that in this. As we said before, they've gone to the dial type shifter. I actually like it. I think it's more fun and more modern up until it doesn't work. And time will tell. I know it's a problem in the Range Rover vehicles that these shifters play up and then you've got to buy the whole module. My only other real criticism of it is for all the size of the car and the roof space, this sunroof is itty bitty. I would have liked to have had, and maybe it is an option out there, a moonroof or at least a bit bigger. What we do like I said while we were road testing it, I like the large instrument cluster. I like the fact that the information that you need is readily available. You've got your RPM, you've got your fuel, your coolant and your speed. There's a whole bunch of other info there, but you're not busy trying to read War and Peace whilst driving to find the information you need. I'm sure that's all interchangeable so that you can set it to show you your desired settings. I love how it drives. It's a beautiful vehicle to drive. It doesn't feel like you're driving a large SUV. I also like that this model, I don't know if they've brought it out in the other models, doesn't have quadrilift. This is a McPherson strut coil on shock suspension setup. It handles very well. It's very soft on the road. It feels nice. I suspect that once you put a Caravan on the back of this, it'll drive beautifully. The only criticism being it'll go through the fuel at a higher rate than a diesel if there was a diesel counterpart available. It's got all the other great features most modern luxury cars have. Lane assist, whatever you call that thing where the revision mirror beeps at you if you try to merge in on top of someone. 7-seater, like we said. How big's the boot? It sounds ridiculous, but it does actually matter when you're looking at, if you're the sort of person who needs 7 seats, you need a big boot. Let's have a look. Boot open with a key. All right, that is shit house. All right, not much of a boot if you're running 7 seats. I'd say if you're running 5, you've got an enormous boot. I don't want to fold it down, he's got baby seats in it, and it's not my car, so let's not bite the hand that feeds us. Or should we? Matt won't. Should we do it? Let's do it. Yeah, if you're running a 5-seater, that's enormous. Yep. Yes, you can. They've done this very well in the front. You can't actually see the parking sensors in the front bar. Osmo. Okay, so on face value, it looks like a huge amount has changed in here compared to the WK2. And if you didn't know what we know, that'd be a safe assumption. But it's actually the same 3.6 Pentastar engine. They have had some changes to the design of the manifolds, design of the EGR setup, some of the intake side of things, and some emissions bits that are bolted on have changed a little bit, but overall it's still a 3.6 Pentastar. We are still seeing and hearing the same common problems that plagued the earlier models in the WKs and the JK Wranglers in lifter tick problems, camshafts being chewed up, and number one being the oil cooler leaking in the valley. So if you get one of these later down the track and you've got an oil leak that looks like it may be a rear main oil seal, don't do a rear main, change your oil cooler. We'll get a video out in due time on how to get the manifold off one of these. We don't know how to get them off yet because they've changed it a bit. But otherwise, yeah, it looks like it's still running the ZF transmission, the 8-speed. It's still something that's going to need to be serviced every 100,000 kilometres with the plastic pan, which is fitted to the WK2, which makes that 100k service is going to be an expensive one. Likewise, the spark plugs for the right-hand side bank are all under the manifold, so at 100,000 kilometres, you're up for some big labour to get that manifold off to get in there to change those plugs over. Otherwise, it's all pretty much the same driveline as a WK2 with some freshen-ups. It's obviously only a few years old, so there's not a huge amount of recall information out yet. As time goes on and manufacturers discover that there are problems, then there may become some more recalls coming out. To date, to the best of my knowledge, there's only 2 that are really of concern that need to get addressed. So if you're looking at buying a second-hand one, or even a new one, the recall's there for new vehicles as well. Make sure that I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but there's a recall for spring seats on these. The spring seat can fall out and basically the rear suspension spring bounces down the street. And there's a recall for a ball joint on one of the suspension knuckles on the front. So just check that the recalls are up to date before buying one of these. If they're not, they will cost you nothing. You just have to go to a Jeep dealer and get those recalls issued. So the ultimate question here is, would we recommend buying one of these, new or second hand? If you can get it for a price that you're happy with, the answer is yes. These are a great family vehicle, city driver. We've just gone through a number of things around the 7-seater, the soccer mum type vehicle, fantastic for families with young kids getting around town. They are good for the adventure lifestyle. They're capable of towing up to about 3 tonne reasonably. They could go to 3.5. What they're not great at, where the WK2 was exceptional, was the towing of the really heavy caravans for the grey nomad market who are buying these and spending their lives driving up and down the east coast of Australia. Unfortunately, this probably just won't do it. Your fuel bill will get too high and the petrol just doesn't have the torque that the diesels had. But if you're doing the occasional holiday, you need a good family vehicle and you're going away once or twice a year, there's nothing wrong with this. The only reason I would say steer clear of this with the caravan situation is if you're one of those people who are full-time 8 to 10 months of the year hauling a caravan. Otherwise, buy one and talk to the guys who are going to be putting Hemis in it, because that'll be cool. But yeah, great modern car, heaps of features, beautiful to drive, does everything for you. Guy across the road's beeping a horn. Go and buy one, go and buy all of them and then bring them to us for servicing. We know them inside out.